Good morning. My name is Art Ross. It's my great privilege to be Dean of the School of Medicine at West Virginia University. And I want to welcome all of you to the 53rd School of Medicine Annual Investiture Ceremony and the 145th University Commencement Ceremony. I'd ask that you remain standing for the singing of our national anthem by Mr. Aaron Scarberry. During the singing of the national anthem, it is customary for gentlemen to remove their caps. Please be seated. It's just terrific to see all of you here today. And on behalf of the faculty of the School of Medicine, I'd like to welcome the class of 2014 and all of our honored guests, your parents, spouses, significant others, partners, children, grandparents, other family members, and friends. And it's especially nice to welcome all of the mothers here today on Mother's Day. And I would like to begin with a very warm round of applause for every mother who is with us today. We thank you all and we love you all. It's days like this that really typify what it is when we say it's a great day to be a mountaineer. And if you're one of the graduates today or a member of a graduate's family, it's a very, very special, wonderful day to be a mountaineer. And I want the class to know what an honor it's been for me to have served as your dean. We've had the chance to talk over these last couple of days, and I've shared with the class that this is a remarkable bunch of young men and young women who have maintained a sense of humor throughout 4+ very long years. I've been impressed as we spent time together by your warmth, your friendliness, and your professionalism, and especially your friendship. And I thank all of you for your kindness to me personally over these last 4 years. You know, today, for the first time as doctors, you're going to recite the Hippocratic Oath. This oath and the altruism that it implores is the foundation of our profession. Because you see, your challenge is to become great doctors, mountaineer doctors. And mountaineer doctors are the best of great doctors. But if you're going to realize your fullest potential and practice terrific medicine in the place of your choice, which for many of you we hope will be West Virginia, you're going to have as your goal to make it a better place for your having been there. And a good way to get to that finish line is by having maintained throughout your practice years the altruism that you have demonstrated as you have come to medical school and spent your 4 years with us as medical students and biomedical graduate students. I want to take just a minute or two to talk about what I think altruism represents, what it means. It's fairly simple. It's only a couple of things. One of them is integrity. You need to deal with colleagues and patients alike with a word that is honest, true, and sincere. Your integrity is you, and your promises need to be kept. Be a lifelong learner. You know, it's an amazing time with the explosion of science and knowledge. We discover knowledge at our school every day. And as a result of all of the discovery of knowledge, we now live in a world where half of what you've learned in medical school and graduate school will be outdated in 5 years. So unless you develop the habit of continuous learning and have it last throughout your professional lifetime, you'll be irrelevant in less than 10 years. You need to examine issues and take a stand. I can't tell you how important this is. You need to be leaders in your profession. You need to be leaders in your community. You need to recognize that in your leadership roles, there's going to be conflict and controversy. And you need to see conflict and controversy as not things to avoid, but opportunities to seize and make the best of them, because in every conflict and controversy, there is opportunity. And finally, you need to be a patient advocate, first and always. Your yardstick always needs to be what's best for my patient. Your patients are going to be sick, they're going to be scared, they're going to be so very vulnerable. And you have to have every single one of them who comes to see you feel as though they're the most important person in the world. And if you can do this well, it's as much of a gift for you as it is for them. So as we continue today's celebration, I'm now going to introduce a number of people. They all exhibit these very same traits. Some of them you know, some of them have been behind the scenes, and you may not have gotten to know them over your time here. But I assure you that each has had a very important role in the education of the class of 2014. I'm going to ask that each of the individuals stand and remain standing as I call their name, and I'm going to ask that you hold your applause until they've all been introduced, and be forewarned, there's a lot of them. Joining us today is Dr. Christopher Calenda. Dr. Calenda is our Chancellor for Health Sciences. We are also honored today by the presence of several members of the Health Sciences Center and Medical School administrative team. Dr. Glenn Dillon, Vice President for Health Sciences Research and Graduate Education. Dr. Norman D. Ferrari III, Class of 1982, Vice Dean for Education and Academic Affairs and Chair of the Department of Medical Education. Dr. Judy Charlton, Class of 1985, Vice Dean for Clinical Affairs. Representing WVU Healthcare in our teaching hospitals, Dr. Charlton also serves as the Chief Medical Officer for WVU Healthcare. Without our teaching hospitals, there could be no medical school. They provide a place for our students to learn side by side with our faculty physicians. The revenue that our school receives from WVU Healthcare is its main source of financial support. We are deeply grateful to WVU Healthcare for its unwavering and generous support of our school. Dr. Sarah Woodrum, Chief Administrative Officer and Senior Associate Dean. Sarah also serves as Adjunct Professor in the School of Public Health. We are one medical school with 3 campuses, so it's especially nice to welcome several members of our administrative team to the stage representing our 3 campuses, in addition to those that you have already met. First, Dr. John Linton, Interim Associate Vice President, Regional Campus Dean for our Charleston campus. Dr. Conrad C. Neal, Associate Vice President and Regional Campus Dean for our Eastern Division. Dr. Rosemary Canarella Lorenzetti, Associate Dean for Student Services at our Eastern Division, and Dr. Kathleen Boers, Assistant Dean for Student Services of our Charleston Division. Also on the stage are Drs. Scott Cottrell, Associate Dean for Student Services and Curriculum, and Dr. Fred Minier, Assistant Vice President for Graduate Education. Every day, all of these people do the important work that makes it possible for our students to gain admission, meet our requirements, and graduate, advance our clinical and research programs, preserve the quality of our programs, and assure our continuous accreditation. They help us to balance our budget and improve and preserve our facilities. We thank you all. You may be seated. We're very fortunate today to have representing the WVU Board of Governors, Mr. Tom Jones. Tom is a longtime friend and partner of the Health Science Center. As many of you may know, he recently retired as the CEO of the West Virginia United Health System, leaving big shoes for Chancellor Calenda to fill. Tom, we thank you for years of service, your continued commitment, and your presence with us today. Thank you so much. Representing our thousands of alumni across the state of West Virginia, as well as the nation, is Dr. Rosemary Canarella Lorenzetti, a member of our class of 1979 and president of the WVU School of Medicine Alumni Association. Our Alumni Association is a terrific, terrific group of individuals. I personally depend upon them for their very wise counsel and support, and they are great friends and supporters of our school. Also joining us today, seated in front of me with our faculty, are a very special group of alums. These are members of the class of 1964 who are here to celebrate their 50th year reunion. So may I ask that each of these stand to be recognized. First, Dr. Tom Dotson, Dr. Richard Gerritsen, Dr. Donald Kleinstever, and Dr. Roger King. Congratulations to you all. Next, I'd like to recognize the chairs of the various departments within the School of Medicine. A medical school is an incredibly complex institution. And each one of these chairs has got the responsibility for a department that has many faculty members. In fact, our school itself and its faculty is larger than most of West Virginia's colleges and universities in the aggregate. And they teach not only our medical students and our doctoral students, but students from several other health professions. They run large research programs and they provide health care for many, many patients. I will now call upon the department chairs or those representing the department and ask each to remain standing. I ask once again that you hold your applause until they've all been introduced. First, Dr. Manuel Vallejo, Chair of the Department of Anesthesia. Next is Dr. James Stevenson, Chair of the Department of Behavioral Medicine and Psychiatry. And actually, I'm going to reverse myself right now and ask you in a minute to provide Dr. Stevenson with a long, loud round of applause because he is retiring in June after many, many years of dedicated service to the School of Medicine. He's a graduate of the class of 1970 and has devoted his life to West Virginia University and our School of Medicine. He has the distinction of being the longest serving psychiatry chair in a School of Medicine in the United States of America. And in fact, he's one of the longest serving department chairs for any department in an American medical school. He's had a long, terrific, productive, wonderful run. And Jim, we thank you so much for your many years of dedicated effort. This is a true mountaineer. Thank you for that, and now we'll go back to the hold your applause rule. Next is Dr. Michael Schaller, Chair of the Department of Biochemistry. Dr. Mitch Jakes, Chair of the Department of Community Practice. Dr. Todd Crocco, Chair of the Department of Emergency Medicine. Dr. Dana King, Chair of the Department of Family Medicine. And Dr. Jim Brick, Chair of the Department of Internal Medicine. Dr. John Barnett, Chair of the Department of Microbiology, Immunology, and Cell Biology. Dr. Richard Day, Chair of the Department of Neurobiology and Anatomy. Dr. John Brick, Chair of the Department of Neurology. Representing the Department of Neurosurgery is Dr. Cesar Serrano. Next is Dr. Michael Vernon, Chair of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. Dr. Ronald Gross, Chair of the Department of Ophthalmology. Dr. Sanford Emery, Chair of the Department of Orthopedics. Dr. Stephen Wetmore, Chair of the Department of Otolaryngology. Dr. Barbara Ducketman, Chair of the Department of Pathology. Dr. Ducketman also serves as our Associate Dean for Faculty Services. Dr. Larry Rhodes, Chair of the Department of Pediatrics. Dr. Rhodes was honored as the National Rural Health Practitioner of the Year in 2013. That's a nationwide honor, and we're very proud of that. Next is Dr. Robert Goodman, former chair of our Department of Physiology and Pharmacology. Dr. Geraldine Jacobson, chair of the Department of Radiation Oncology. Dr. Tamara Hughes Methern from the Department of Radiology. And Dr. Hannah Hazard from the Department of Surgery. Dr. Hazard also serves as our Assistant Dean for Admissions. Thank you all very much. Chairs, of course, would not be able to accomplish their tasks without a very strong and diverse faculty. The faculty of the School of Medicine is the heart of our institution. It's these physicians and scientists that have worked one-on-one with this year's class to bring them to this very special day. Our faculty are the backbone of our school, and I would like that all faculty members please rise and be recognized. I hope it's not lost on anyone that on a special, beautiful Sunday Mother's Day, that all of these faculty members would take their time to come and help this class celebrate their very special day. They are truly dedicated people. And we thank them for all that they've done for the class. They are truly, truly dedicated people. And I want to speak for a moment for them, if I might. They would all, I'm sure, say this in different words, but with the same intent, which is, we are grateful, class, that you chose to come to WVU for your medical school education and your graduate school work. We're proud of the fact that you have come to be students here, and we're very proud of the fact that you now enter into the world as medical professionals and biomedical scientists who will make a difference for all people, and especially West Virginians. We all believe, speaking for the faculty, that we have one of this country's very finest medical schools. And as of today, with all of you as alums, it just got better. You're just great. I'd also like to recognize our other associate deans and administrators who are located within the audience. Dr. Matt Lose, Vice President of Medical Staff Affairs for WVU Healthcare and Assistant Dean for Clinical Affairs. You can stand up. Thank you, Dr. Lose. Linda Nine, Vice President for Health Sciences and Alumni Affairs. Where's Linda? Thank you, Linda. Dr. Julia Falunas, Senior Vice President for Health Sciences Development. Dr. James Brown, Assistant Dean for Student Services of our Eastern Division. Thank you, James. Dr. Melanie Fisher, Assistant Dean for Continuing Medical Education. And Dr. Holland Larrabee, Assistant Dean for Graduate Medical Education, and Designated Institutional Official. And one more, Dr. David Wilkes, our Assistant Dean for Technology and Medical Education. Thank you very much. Finally, there is one more group that I know we all wish to recognize. And I would ask that all of the students, faculty, and guests in the audience who are either now serving or have served in our military, please stand so that we may show you our appreciation as a grateful nation. Would you all please stand? It's now my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Christopher Kalenda, who is our Chancellor for Health Sciences. Dr. Kalenda came to WVU in 2009 from the College of Medicine at Texas A&M Health Sciences Center, where he served as Dean and Vice President for Clinical Affairs. During the time that Chris has been here at our school and at WVU and the Health Sciences Center, we've experienced a lot of positive changes, many of which clearly have improved our state and national standings in some very important areas. As many of you may know, recently Dr. Kalenda assumed the position that Mr. Jones vacated as President and CEO of the West Virginia United Health System. We look forward to a long, productive, collaborative association with Dr. Kalenda in this new exciting role. But for the time being, he has both roles, and he will come forward now. Dr. Kalenda.
Thank you, Dean Ross, and I too want to add my congratulations to all of the mothers in the audience for coming today. And as all of us know, none of us in the audience would be here without our mothers. So, not only in the sense of having us as birthing us, but also from the fact that mothers provide a great deal of guidance throughout one's life, and they are in many ways the moral anchor that allow us to succeed. So on behalf of the President of the University, Gordon Gee, and the Board of Governors represented by Mr. Jones, I want to welcome you to our graduation ceremony here for the School of Medicine. Over the years, I have taken the liberty of talking about several things that are on my mind's eye at this period of time. And like Abraham Lincoln would once say, if I had a longer period of time, I would have a shorter speech to prepare. But the things that I've looked at over the years have been issues about service, interprofessionalism, leadership, professionalism. And today I want to talk a little bit about exploration. This is West Virginia's university, and it was founded out of the Civil War through the Morrill Act of 1862. And if you look at the impact of the Morrill Act in terms of improving access to education, and what separates history from chaos is education, this was an incredibly important institution to the formation of our state of West Virginia. If you look at the first states that adopted the Morrill Act, Michigan State University and Penn State University actually were the models by which the Morrill Act was actually constructed on. But it was Iowa State and Kansas State that were the first two Morrill Act land-grant universities, followed by, interestingly, Rutgers University. But then there were three universities that I think are very important historically that became the next three universities that were created under the Morrill Act. First was Kentucky in 1865. The second two were Illinois and West Virginia University. And I think it's interesting that if you look at the history of President Lincoln, he was born in Kentucky, he was elected from Illinois, and the great state of West Virginia was created out of the Civil War. I think we can legitimately say that this is one of Mr. Lincoln's great universities. And that exploration of West Virginia and its university over the last 147 years has been one of exploration. And in the 50s and early 60s, there was a recognition that the health professions needed to be part and parcel of the future of the land-grant university. The Health Science Center was created. And what the university is beginning to think about is what is the contemporary thought of the 21st century land-grant university? And our sense is that West Virginia University can be and will be the model land-grant university with its historical roots back to the Morrill Act of 1862, but always looking to explore the future of opportunity to better the citizens of the state, to provide services, and to provide the educational opportunities necessary for a contemporary society to avoid chaos and create history. So for the graduates, your life too is an exploration. And I'd like to congratulate each of your accomplishments that we will celebrate today. Each of your journeys to this milestone has been different. You brought a diverse set of experiences to West Virginia University, from your homes, from your towns, from your home countries, from your families, from your prior schools, from the jobs that you held, and from your military service, and from your personal encounters with health professionals who perhaps inspired you to make a career choice in medicine and the biomedical sciences. Along the way, you have been supported by many people, as from your parents, siblings, spouses, friends. And if we have done our job well as faculty members, we hope to have supported you as well, not just in learning facts and skills, but in opening your eyes to a world larger and more complex than the one you knew when you got here to WVU. Now, as you move to the next part of your journey, your travels through life will be guided more fully by your internal compass, the sum of knowledge, values, judgments, and experiences that you bring with you at every crucial turning point in your life. But I urge you to be an explorer and not a tourist. Now, there's a difference between an explorer and a tourist. Tourists follow the routes worn smooth by those who came before. Explorers, in the words of Robert Frost, chose the road less traveled. Tourists take pictures of people and places they visit and buy souvenirs. Explorers talk with people along the way and collect their experiences. Tourists are consciously separate from the places and cultures they visit. Explorers are actively engaged with their surroundings and their companions. Tourists stay safe. Explorers take risks. And now I'm not talking about vacations that you'll take, and I hope that you take many and varied vacations, but what I am talking about is your path through your career and your life. Each day you will have opportunities to explore new experiences, to engage new people, and to challenge your own beliefs and those of your peers and colleagues. There are opportunities to make a difference. You won't see these opportunities if you have your nose buried in a guidebook. There really is no guidebook for most of what you will encounter out there. But you will have to make your own guidebook in your head. And my experience with WVU graduates is that most of them are very well prepared and equipped to do this. So as you join the ranks of Mountaineer alumni, medical school and biomedical science alumni across the world, follow their example, explore. And from time to time, send us a postcard from the road less traveled. Thank you, congratulations, look forward to shaking your hand as you walk across the dais. Bye-bye.
How we doing? Okay? Good. We certainly appreciate Dr. Kalenda's inspiring remarks. And again, I want to reiterate to Chris what an outstanding job he's done as the leader of our Health Science Center. We celebrate your new position, but we mourn your loss, we really do. Chris has been absolutely terrific. So it now gives me great pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, who's Dr. William Neal. Dr. William Neal is a native of Huntington, West Virginia. He earned his undergraduate degree from Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio in 1962. He is one of you. His medical degree was awarded by WVU School of Medicine in 1966. In fact, Bill was the first recipient of the Edward J. Van Leer Award for Medical Student Research. Upon graduation from medical school, Dr. Neal continued his training as a rotating intern at the Milwaukee County General Hospital, which at the time was part of Marquette University. That was in 66, 67. And he was then commissioned to the United States Navy, where after graduation from the Naval Aerospace Medical Institute, he was assigned as a flight surgeon aboard the USS Constellation. He made 2 combat tours to Vietnam. He then returned and had postgraduate education in his chosen field of pediatric cardiology, and this was at the University of Minnesota from 1970 to 74. And Dr. Neal then followed the country roads back to West Virginia and joined our faculty at WVU. From 85 to 98, he served as our chair of the Department of Pediatrics. He's currently the James H. Walker Professor and Chair of Preventative Cardiology in the Department of Pediatrics at West Virginia University. He has distinguished himself, and in doing so, he has distinguished our school and this university. He has had many administrative roles within the department and is focused greatly upon things that improve the health and wellness of the children of West Virginia. And in doing so, the impact has been felt far, far beyond. He developed and regionalized newborn intensive care in the state, established a statewide system of outreach clinics in pediatric cardiology, and perhaps most noteworthy is he founded the Coronary Artery Risk Detection in Appalachian Communities Project. The acronym for this project is CARDIAC. Many of you have known of it because it has received international attention for its pioneering work. Project CARDIAC provided risk factor surveillance, intervention, and research for over 125,000 school-aged children from every West Virginia community over the past 16 years. As the largest cumulative database of health status data on children in the nation, it has strongly influenced policy guidelines of the American Academy of Pediatrics regarding blood cholesterol screening and treatment for children at risk for premature heart disease and diabetes. Before Bill Neal and Cardiac, it was simply not recognized that children are at risk too, and we are all better served as a result of his pioneering work. He was named Distinguished Alumnus of this school in 2006 and will receive emeritus status on July 1st, 2014, after 40 years of service to the university and state. So I introduce to you for your commencement speech a true mountaineer and someone who has definitely improved the health and wellness of West Virginians as he has lived the mission of our land-grant university, Dr. Neal.
Well, Chancellor Clenda, Dean Ross, fellow faculty, and I'm delighted to extend greetings to the class of 2014, your families and loved ones, and friends gathered here today. Thank you for the privilege of addressing you today. My remarks are from the perspective of one who stood in your very shoes nearly a half century ago. You are about to enter an honorable profession, a mantle you justly deserve, and in return you are accepting great responsibility. Society expects a lot from you. I recently asked a group of third-year students how they felt about medical school now and in contrast to their expectations when they were applying for admission. Had their understanding of medical school changed? Unanimously, they responded yes. The first 2 years' study of the basic sciences were more difficult than they would have imagined, yet they agreed it was necessary to prepare them for what lay ahead. I then asked, describe your feelings now that you are in your clinical years. Quote, much more enjoyable, they responded. Finally, what we wanted to do all along. It is challenging yet fulfilling to diagnose and treat patients and to learn to be at ease with them. I remember that feeling as a medical student here. On a short holiday break, I spent several days shadowing a pediatrician in my hometown of Huntington, Dr. Bill Kopp. I wanted to discover if pediatrics was for me. Very few of his patients were sick enough to be hospitalized, and I wondered if mostly caring for children with minor illness would become tedious. Dr. Kopp responded, I don't like to see my children become really ill. How strange, I thought, a doctor who doesn't want to take care of sick people. Nevertheless, attracted to the care of children, I chose pediatric cardiology as a specialty, and to be sure there was no shortage of critically ill infants and children with heart disease satisfying my desire to work with sick patients. Many of my patients survived complex heart operations. During the perioperative period, their parents stood by helplessly, hoping that all would turn out well. Most of these children survived and matured into fully active adults, and I have continued to follow them in my practice. They are now in their 20s, 30s, or even 40s. Their presence in a pediatric clinic is unusual to say the least, but like Dr. Kopp, I enjoy seeing them happy and well. It may come as a surprise that not infrequently they still attend clinic every 6 to 12 months with their parents. The child, now an adult, has always known me as their doctor. And though legally emancipated, their heart condition early in life was a family crisis. I was a participant in the care of the child during the most vulnerable of times for any parent, a time when they understood their child might not survive. In such circumstances, there is a closeness between child, parent, and physician that is profound. It is challenging, both clinically and emotionally, to find yourself called upon to care for seriously ill or dying patients. It is also a privilege to share such times with patients and their families, a privilege a physician should never take for granted. You have earned this right and responsibility granted to only a few. As physicians, it is incumbent upon you to be worthy of the trust society is conferring upon you. So on this day, the faculty of the West Virginia University School of Medicine will confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Medicine. How is it that you are about to receive your medical degree here and not somewhere else? As a newspaper delivery boy in the early 1950s, I vividly recall folding papers with two other boys at the convergence of our respective routes, and early each morning the three of us drank a soda at the gas station while we folded our papers, aware even then that we were each contributing a penny to build a new 4-year health sciences center somewhere in West Virginia. I knew that every doctor in my town received their medical degree somewhere other than West Virginia. Clearly, we needed our own medical school. How did that come about? The West Virginia legislature used to meet every 2 years rather than annually as they do today. The greatest achievement of the 50th West Virginia legislature was the enactment of a bill in 1951 to fund and construct a new 4-year school of medicine supported by a pop tax. A 2-year medical program already existed at WVU, having been established in 1912. Graduates then matriculated to out-of-state schools to complete their clinical training. The Charleston Gazette reported early in that legislative session, quote, "There is distressing need for doctors in West Virginia. Many small communities are without physicians to care for their people," end quote. There were not enough physicians to staff new Veterans Administration hospitals in Beckley, Clarksburg, and Huntington. Despite furious battles over location of the new school, a decision was made by then Governor Oakey Patterson to locate the medical school with the parent university in Morgantown. The pristine new medical facility was completed in 1960 at a cost of $33 million. Dr. Edward J. Van Leer, one of the leading high-altitude physiologists in the world, had been the dean of the 2-year medical school since 1935. The school's reputation was on solid ground at that point. Dr. Van Leer's prestige as a medical educator further enhanced recruitment of outstanding faculty to chair and staff clinical departments from around the country. Many came from the University of Minnesota, and for a time WVU was referred to as the Minnesota Metastasis. The first MD degrees were awarded in 1962. You are part of that legacy, and several of their members have been recognized today of that class. You helped celebrate the 50th anniversary of the 4-year School of Medicine and Health Sciences Center as sophomores 2 years ago. A decade after my days as a paperboy, I was an applicant to this medical school. I passed by the pylons adorning the entrance of the beautiful new school for the first time. That memory is remarkably clear to this day. These 4 15-foot structures, so symbolic of this Health Sciences Center, have their own unique history. Milton Horn, a noted sculptor from Chicago, was commissioned to design 8 panels depicting 15 milestones in the history of biological science, from Hippocrates to Louis Pasteur, without which it was said, quote, "The great history of medical science would be unfelt by students except in classroom work," end quote. As we pass by the pylons, we are reminded that we are indeed part of a legacy that extends over centuries. As faculty, we are responsible for assuring that you have mastered the didactic information of the day. It is equally important that we impart to you a sense of history of the esteemed profession you are about to become a part of, so that you in turn will pass on its rich evolution and traditions to future generations. It has been my privilege to witness the inception of the medical school as a student, participate in its growth and maturation as junior faculty, and relish its accomplishments and promise for the future as a senior faculty member. I am proud to be a graduate of this School of Medicine, and I welcome you to our Alumni Association with open arms. The Alumni Association offers an annual Distinguished Alumnus Award to a graduate, quote, "whose distinguished career and unselfish contribution to society have enhanced the prestige of West Virginia University School of Medicine and in their own special way have helped to upgrade the quality of healthcare," end quote. Let me tell you about a few of the recipients. David Z. Morgan, class of 1958, was a guiding light during the first quarter century of the 4-year School of Medicine, serving as instructor in cardiology and later associate dean for student affairs for several decades. He was a descendant of Morgan Morgan, the founder of Morgantown. Jay Arena, 1930, founded the Department of Pediatrics at Duke University. Margaret Haggerty, class of 1959, introduced modern neonatology to the pediatric unit at Harlem Children's Hospital in New York. Edward Shahady, class of '64, was a pioneer in the field of academic family medicine, chairing several departments at prestigious universities. Larry Schwab, class of '66, was awarded 2 Bronze Stars for heroism in ground combat operations as a battalion surgeon in Vietnam. Following completion of residency training in ophthalmology at Harvard, he provided decades of eye care for the poorest of the poor in Africa. I think I saw Dr. Schwab enter the audience today. And Dr. Schwab, Larry, if you would please stand for recognition. Another classmate, Larry Crames, class of '66, used his artistic ability to make beautifully accurate drawings in anatomy class. His notes were coveted by fellow students. Small wonder that years later he founded the largest patient information booklet company in the world, known for its illustrations of disease and treatments. Nearly every doctor's office today has patient education material created by Crames Communications. Larry Pickering, class of 1970, was until recently the editor of the Red Book, the internationally recognized reference on infectious diseases. He is one of the most admired pediatricians in America. Most recently, the Distinguished Alumnus Award was given to David Jones, class of 1989, Chief of Thoracic Surgery and Director of the Surgical Oncology Program at Sloan Kettering Comprehensive Cancer Center in New York. He is an internationally known clinician and researcher in the field of lung and esophageal cancer. These are but a few of the many individuals who have contributed to the rich tradition of excellence at WVU. Medicine, like any profession, goes through evolutionary stages. Our mission never changes, but the application of technology to the practice of medicine has been transformative. Your mission is to prevent and reverse rising acute and chronic health problems and their impact on families. The contemporary approach of this mission is based on prevention and treatment in the context of health system design, decision support, and clinical information systems, with self-management and support of the community. It is the integration of a well-prepared practice team with an informed participatory patient. But medicine is truly an art as well as a science. There's a recent commentary in the New England Journal of Medicine entitled, quote, "Becoming a Physician, the Virtues of Irrelevance," end quote. It reminds us that we enter medicine with reasonable social skills, able to start a conversation with friends with ease, and beginning a patient encounter with an innocuous observation such as, "Interesting belt," or "I see you're a Steelers fan. How do you think they'll do this year?" This puts a patient at ease, connecting us as human beings. I stumbled on this technique years ago, though I never thought about it as a strategy. The pleasure of practicing medicine is sharing life with our patients as persons who benefit not only from our clinical care, but by our interest in them as individuals. Several years ago, I served on the admissions committee of the School of Medicine. As I interviewed applicants, I witnessed the idealism and dreams for the future that I see in you at this moment. My professional career as a WVU graduate has been a remarkable journey, and I am most grateful that the idealism I possessed when I entered medicine remains as strong today as ever. As a young man, I was driven by a desire to become a doctor, and as I look back over the decades, I feel extraordinarily blessed that that dream came to fruition. Investiture, from the Latin vestire, or to be robed, indicates the formal installation of an incumbent into a profession. Society, with the consent of the faculty, is conferring upon you the right and responsibility to prevent illness where possible, to treat the sick when called upon, and to share with patients and their families the most vulnerable of times. That is both your calling and your reward. It is likely the greatest privilege you will ever earn. As I conclude my remarks, it is fitting that you, the graduates, offer thanks to your parents, spouses, relatives, and close friends for guiding you on this path of great merit. You have achieved a great milestone, but none of this could have been accomplished without their help along the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Neal, so very much. You know, there are many who say that one's best measure of having been successful is if you leave a place better than you found it. And using that as a yardstick, Bill Neal has been hugely, hugely successful. And he's one of you. And this is what you can become if you're diligent in the way that you approach patient care and the discovery of knowledge. He is a true mountaineer. Next, I will ask Dr. Glenn Dillon to come forward. Dr. Dillon is our Vice President for Research and Graduate Studies. Dr. Dillon will preside over the School of Medicine Doctor of Philosophy candidates for their investing of the Doctor of Philosophy hoods. During the hooding, Dr. Fred L. Menier will assist as the candidates are hooded by their faculty advisors, and Chancellor Kalenda will represent the university in the presentation of the diploma. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Dean Ross. Good morning. It's a real privilege to share the morning with you and this fine event. Before we start with the conferring of the PhDs, I do want to pass on my congratulations to all of our MD graduates. It's a real accomplishment. We really need you, and so we're very happy with the path you've chosen. Today, however, we also confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in recognition of students' accomplishments in academics and also in particular in research. When students begin their graduate training here at WVU, they transition from primarily classroom-based learning to laboratory-based discovery. The laboratories can take different forms, from the traditional wet laboratory bench to hospitals and clinics, or to workplaces and other places where folks gather and socialize. PhD students must become experts in their chosen fields and in the use of the experimental tools on which they rely. In biomedical science programs, this might entail the use of molecular biology and genomics to better understand how cells divide and specialize and how this goes awry in cancer, or the use of computational techniques to understand signaling in the brain. The students who are receiving their PhD degrees have formed close relationships with individual faculty members. Through these relationships, they progress from student to scientist. Those receiving the doctorate of philosophy have not only become experts in their chosen fields, but they've learned to collaborate in their work, to communicate and interact with the larger scientific community, and to simultaneously remain both curious and skeptical. Most importantly, the hallmark really of the PhD degree is that each student receiving this has made a significant, unique scientific discovery. Examples of those discoveries from our group of students graduating today include understanding how the circulatory system changes with diabetes, how cartilage in the knee can be regenerated, identifying new therapeutic targets for cancer, and elucidating the movement of bacteria responsible for Lyme disease. Our PhD graduates are embarking after today on a period of additional fellowship training to complete their transition to independent scientists. Much as our MD graduates are transitioning to their medical residence for advanced clinical training. It's fitting then that our PhD and MD graduate students, or MD graduates, share a stage since their lives will be very much entwined over the coming years. Much is changing in both healthcare and the science that supports it. Central concepts are that the practice of medicine must continue to be based on sound scientific evidence, that scientific discoveries are translated to the clinics and to the communities, and that methods of disease prevention and treatment should be subjected to rigorous scientific evaluation. These efforts require that scientists have a sound understanding of clinical issues and that physicians fully appreciate the science that underlies their clinical specialties. This year we have 10 students who have earned the PhD degree. We're pleased that 7 of our students are here today to be recognized. 3 others have gone on to their postdoctoral fellowships at other institutions and thus can't be with us today. We also have 4 biomedical PhD graduates who are receiving their degrees as part of the School of Pharmacy ceremony today. So we'll now start with the conferring of the degrees. I will read the name of each PhD degree recipient and his or her faculty mentor. If you're interested, the topics of the students' research projects are listed in the program. Will all the recipients of the PhD degree please rise? Our first student to be hooded today, Kimberly Meade Arnold. She will be hooded by Dr. Fred Menier, Assistant Vice President for Graduate Education. Kimberly's advisor, Dr. Rob Weisermersky, Professor of Neurobiology and Anatomy, was unable to be here today. Ryan Joseph Ice. Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped one. Joshua Thomas Butcher, hooded by Dr. Fred Menier as well. Josh's advisor is Dr. Jefferson Frisbee, who is a professor of physiology and pharmacology who is out of town and could not be here today. Ryan Joseph Ice, hooded by his advisor, Dr. Elena Pugacheva, Assistant Professor of Biochemistry. Jingting Li, hooded by her advisor, Dr. Ming Pi, Associate Professor of Exercise Physiology and Orthopedics. Kelly N. Heinzelman Miller, hooded by her advisor, Dr. Neal Sharon, Professor of Microbiology, Immunology, and Cell Biology. Sun Hee Park, hooded by her advisor, Dr. Stephen Frisch, Professor of Biochemistry. Katrina Lindsay Porter, hooded by her advisor, Dr. Robert Goodman, Professor of Physiology and Pharmacology. It's my pleasure now to welcome to the podium Joshua Butcher, a member of the PhD class of 2014. He will speak on behalf of his fellow PhD recipients. Dr. Butcher. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Congratulations, sir.
Thank you for this opportunity. I'd like to say specifically thank you to the Biomedical Sciences program for allowing me to speak today. It's a great honor to stand here and just say a few words. To my fellow graduates, I would like to say congratulations. After countless hours of desperately cramming before exams, long and sometimes failed experiments, and a lot of coffee, we have arrived at our destination. Our passion for learning, our drive to explore the unknown, and our intellectual curiosity have allowed us to officially become scientists. We're doctors. In the immortal words of Optimus Prime, it's been an honor serving with you all. Somebody asked me a while ago what it felt like to be done, what it was like to be finished with my doctorate. And honestly, the more I think about it, the more I really feel that it can be summed up with just one emotion, and that's gratitude. I think I can speak for every single doctor who has walked or is about to walk, that we would not be here today without the support of many, many people. I have to begin by giving credit to the many faculty, staff, students, and administrators of WVU who have mentored me so that I could reach this point. Jefferson Frisbee, my doctoral advisor, and just a great mentor, who asked me 4 years ago to trust him with my academic career. Adam Goodwill, the senior graduate student, who reminded me every day that if I wanted to be as good as him, I was going to have to work a lot harder. And Mark Paternostro, one of the finest scientists and educators that I've ever had the privilege of meeting, who taught me just how much fun this job could really be. I stand here today because of their mentoring, along with many others, and I would like to say thank you so much. I'd like to take just this opportunity to focus on those of you in the crowd who are celebrating with a loved one graduating today. You might be a spouse, like my wife, Kaya. Well, I am truly surprised that anybody would put up with me for almost 4 years now. Kaya did it through this experience that we call graduate school. And she has never let me give up. And Kaya, I could not have done this without you. You might be a family member, like my twin brother Justin. Rarely a day goes by that he doesn't listen to me discuss the challenges of science, encourage me to always move forward, and remind me to keep my eye on the truly important things in life. He's a true friend. And lastly, but certainly not least, as many of you know, this is a tremendously important day because it is Mother's Day. Now, I have not had the opportunity the last couple of years to be with my mother on Mother's Day, so allow me to say, Happy Mother's Day, Mom. And I remember when Justin and I were 16 years old. We were juniors in high school. My mom and dad sat us down, and they told us that they would do whatever they possibly could to help us do whatever it was that we wanted. And at the time, I don't think I fully realized how much that meant that they would sacrifice. I'm afraid that I still don't fully realize that. So if you don't mind, I will take a very brief few moments to speak directly to them. Mom, Dad, there is nothing that I could ever do to communicate to you how truly grateful and humbled that I am for all that you have done for me. The unconditional support will never be forgotten, and I love you both very, very much. To each and every one of you out there that supported a person that will cross this stage today, you should know that they have accomplished something truly unique and very extraordinary, and they did it with you. You should be tremendously proud of them and this achievement. Thank you so much. Congratulations to our graduates, and Happy Mother's Day.
Wonderful remarks by Josh. Thank you very much, Dr. Butcher. At this time, would all recipients of the Doctor of Philosophy degree please rise? Would you all please join me in congratulating these new PhD recipients? So it's really an honor to represent the faculty and administration in leading our new PhD students, our graduates, in reciting the ethical affirmation for scientists. We think this affirmation is unique to our campus. It was written by Drs. Robert Craig, Ann Cather, and James Culberson, all outstanding faculty members in the School of Medicine. It was published in the journal Science in 2003 and brought international recognition to our university and its PhD programs. As new biomedical scientists, it's appropriate for you all to take a few minutes and contemplate some of the ethical demands you could be faced with. There will be very immense pressure to succeed. You'll experience intense competition for funding to support your research. You may encounter questions of authorship on manuscripts. You may be faced with other conflicts of interest, such as conflicts of interest or conflicts of commitment. The ethical affirmation you're about to repeat represents what you, as scientists, should strive for throughout your career. So at this time, would our PhD graduates please stand? I invite also all scientists on stage and in the audience to stand and repeat the ethical affirmation along with our graduates. Please repeat after me. As I embark on my career as a biomedical scientist, I willingly pledge that I will honorably represent my scientific profession that I will conduct my research and my professional life in a manner that is always above reproach, and that I will seek to incorporate the body of ethics and moral principles that constitute scientific integrity into all that I do. I will strive always to ensure that the results of my research and other scientific activities ultimately benefit humanity and that they cause no harm. With this affirmation, I pledge to acknowledge and honor the contributions of scientists who have preceded me, to seek truth and the advancement of knowledge in all my work, and to become a worthy role model, deserving of respect by those who follow me. Thank you. Please be seated. Again, join me in congratulating the Doctor of Philosophy class of 2014.
The students will remember yesterday when we did our rehearsal that I told them not to worry too much about being perfect because I'd screw up way more than they would, and I did. Somehow or another, I managed to go by the singing of our Home Among the Hills by Mr. Scarberry. It's a beautiful song, and I'd like to go back to it if he doesn't mind and do it now. This is a song that was composed in 1963 in honor of West Virginia's centennial celebration by Clarksburg native Mr. E.W. James, and it's appropriate that we enjoy that as a part of this ceremony. Mr. Scarberry.
There's a land of rolling mountains where the sky is blue above, and though I may roam, I hurry home
Thank you, sir, and again, I apologize. Dr. Scott Cottrell, Associate Dean for Student Services, will now present the Doctor of Medicine candidates for their investing of the Doctor of Medicine hoods. Doctors Rosemarie Canarella Lorenzetti, Norman Ferrari, and Kathleen Boers will assist with the hooding. Chancellor Kalenda, the great guy that he is, has offered me the opportunity to present the diplomas to these new doctors, and I accepted it very eagerly. So I will present the diplomas, and the Chancellor will greet the students, now doctors, as they cross the stage. Scott.
Thank you, Dean Ross. Today, 31 of our graduates will be hooded by guest, family, and faculty members, of whom 13 are graduates of the West Virginia University School of Medicine. These guest participants will include mothers, fathers, spouses, and siblings who are also physicians. Will the MD recipients please rise? Musi Udin Ahmed, Ophthalmology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Dean Bonzel, Department of Ophthalmology. Jonathan Robert Ryan Amoroso, Anesthesiology, University of Maryland Medical Center, Baltimore, Maryland, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari, class of 1982, Vice Dean, Morgantown campus. Christopher Bryce Arena, Orthopedic Surgery, Penn State Hershey Medical Center, Hershey, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Erica Lynn Arthurs, Obstetrics and Gynecology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by her father, Dr. Brian Arthurs, class of 1985. Adam Benderheim, Otolaryngology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Kathleen Boers, class of 1987, Assistant Dean, Charleston campus. Charlotte Ann Bibby, Pediatrics, Palmetto Health Richland, University of South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, hooded by Dr. Kathleen Boers. Corey Adam Bollinger, Internal Medicine, George Washington University, Washington, D.C., hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Sarah Elizabeth Bonnet, Diagnostic Radiology, The Ohio State University Medical Center, Columbus, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Ashley Nadia Bustani, Plastic Surgery, University of Kentucky Medical Center, Lexington, Kentucky, hooded by her father, Dr. Michael Bustani. Alexia Francis Fernandez Bozic, Family Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by her husband, Dr. John Bozic, class of 2013. Joseph Daniel Bozet, Surgery, Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, Bethesda, Maryland, hooded by Dr. Kathleen Bors. Garrett Lane Butler, Family Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Greg Doyle, Department of Family Medicine. Tiffany Campbell, Emergency Medicine, University of Louisville School of Medicine, Louisville, Kentucky, hooded by her uncle, Dr. William Rose, class of 1986. Benjamin Charles Cook, Family Medicine, Charleston Area Medical Center, Charleston, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Kathleen Bors. Chad Thomas Dean, Anesthesiology, Case Western Reserve University, Cleveland, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Heather Tarantino, class of 2003, Department of Internal Medicine, Charleston Division. John Thomas Dorsey IV, Internal Medicine, Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, hooded by his father, Dr. Thomas Dorsey, class of 1981. Sarah Elizabeth Ellison, Dermatology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Jake David Fagan, Dermatology, Geisinger Health System, Danville, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. James Kenneth Fallon, Emergency Medicine, Palmetto Health Richland, University of South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, hooded by Dr. Kathleen Bors. Justin Michael Famoso, Radiation Oncology, University of Arizona Affiliated Hospitals, Tucson, Arizona, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Imran Faruqi, Diagnostic Radiology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by his father, Dr. Muhammad Shafiq Faruqi. Paul Edward Flood, Jr., Family Medicine, Navy Hospital, Bremerton, Washington, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Jacob Norris Fox, Anesthesiology, University of Kentucky Medical Center, Lexington, Kentucky, hooded by Dr. H. Wayne Lambert, Department of Neurobiology and Anatomy. Zachary David Garrett, Internal Medicine, The Ohio State University Medical Center, Columbus, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Karina Lydia Giranella, Pediatrics, Nationwide Children's Hospital, Columbus, Ohio, hooded by her father, Dr. Dante Giranella, and her fiance, Dr. David Pong, class of 2013. Boris Getman, Pathology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Ryan Robert Glantz, Anesthesiology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Jordan Lee Godby, Internal Medicine, East Tennessee State University, Johnson City, Tennessee, hooded by Dr. Kathleen Bors. Heather Nicole Grome, Internal Medicine, Vanderbilt University Medical Center, Nashville, Tennessee, hooded by Dr. Melanie Fisher, Department of Internal Medicine. Ali John Hajaran, Urology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Brent Michael Hansen, Obstetrics and Gynecology, Inova Fairfax Hospital, Falls Church, Virginia, hooded by his parents, Drs. Timothy and Pamela Hansen. Arash Hassan Tufigi, Internal Medicine, San Antonio Uniformed Services Health Education Consortium, San Antonio, Texas, hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella Lorenzetti, class of 1979, Associate Dean for Student Services, Eastern Campus. Mandy Nicole Hatfield, Neurology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. David Watson, class of 1999, Department of Neurology. Amanda Kate Hill, Family Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Treya Haggerty, class of 2007, Department of Family Medicine. Lauren Michelle Hill, Obstetrics and Gynecology, Mountain Area Health Education Center, Asheville, North Carolina, hooded by Dr. Kathleen Bors. Madison Marie Humerick, Family Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella Lorenzetti. Jessica Elizabeth Johnson, Internal Medicine and Pediatrics, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella. Brendan Adam Jones, Surgery, Naval Medical Center, Portsmouth, Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Christopher James Jones, Diagnostic Radiology, University of Texas Medical School, Houston, Texas, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Casey Marie Kidd, Internal Medicine, Pediatrics, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Elizabeth Joanna Kilmeyer, Pediatrics, Psychiatry, and Child Psychiatry, Tufts Medical Center, Boston, Massachusetts, hooded by Dr. Sarah Marshall, Pediatrics, Eastern Division. Jonathan Caleb King, Emergency Medicine, Medical University of South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, hooded by Dr. Kathleen Bors. James Michael Kingsbury II, Preliminary Surgery, Albert Einstein Medical Center, Bronx, New York, hooded by Dr. Ann Cather, Class of 1983, Department of Family Medicine. Stephanie Noel Knittel, Family Medicine, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, St. Margaret, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Edward Martin Kowal III, Obstetrics and Gynecology, Charleston Area Medical Center, Charleston, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Mark Lewis Leacoff, Neurology, University of Maryland Medical Center, Baltimore, Maryland, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Joseph Dominic Lynch, Pediatrics, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Jeffrey Voss, Department of Pathology. Amber McConney, Internal Medicine, Case Western Reserve University Hospitals, Cleveland, Ohio, hooded by her father, Dr. Anil K. McConney, and her brother, Dr. Uman McConney. Michael Thomas Martin, Diagnostic Radiology, The Ohio State University Medical Center, Columbus, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Andrew Allen McHugh, Internal Medicine, Emory University School of Medicine, Atlanta, Georgia, hooded by his uncle, Dr. Thomas O. Dotson, Class of 1964. Leon Mayton, Neurology, Thomas Jefferson University, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Michael David Miller, Emergency Medicine, University of Cincinnati Medical Center, Cincinnati, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Kathleen Boers. Paul Gallup Milner, Internal Medicine, Creighton University Affiliate Hospital, Omaha, Nebraska, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Tiffany Chantel Meinhardt, Anesthesiology, George University Hospital, Washington, D.C., hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella. Chaitra Mohan, Internal Medicine, Cleveland Clinic, Cleveland, Ohio, hooded by her parents, Dr. Pedia and Sarah Mohan. Sarah Jane Moses, Obstetrics and Gynecology, Fletcher Allen Healthcare, Burlington, Vermont, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Amy Renee Moyers, Family Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Carl Schrader, class of 2010, Department of Family Medicine. Jason Alexander Peklensky, Family Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Kelly Marie Pennington, Internal Medicine, Mayo School of Graduate Medical Education, Rochester, Minnesota, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Anup B. Reddy, Internal Medicine, State University of New York Downstate Medical Center, Brooklyn, New York, hooded by Dr. Kathleen Boers. Joy Michelle Roman, Pathology, University of Utah Affiliated Hospital, Salt Lake City, Utah, hooded by Dr. Kathleen Boers. Eric Joel Sechrist, Neurology, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. David Watson. Merwin Sievertson, Emergency Medicine, Medical College of Georgia, Fort Gordon, Augusta, Georgia, hooded by Dr. George K. Ball, Department of Orthopedic Surgery. Haider Shahid, Psychiatry, University of South Florida College of Medicine, Tampa, Florida, hooded by his father, Dr. Shahid Masood, and his brother, Dr. Hassan Shahid, class of 2009. Jenna Noel Sizemore, Internal Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by Dr. Rosemary Canarella. Allison Jean Smith, Internal Medicine and Psychiatry, Medical University of South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, hooded by Dr. Heather Tarantino. Catherine Louisa Sterner, Diagnostic Radiology, University of Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia, hooded by her uncle, Dr. David Sterner. Dustin Christopher Stewart, General Surgery, Charleston Area Medical Center, Charleston, West Virginia, hooded by his father, Dr. Russell Stewart. Hassan Ali Suleiman, Internal Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by his father, Dr. Ali Suleiman. Scott Warren Thomas, Pediatrics, Virginia Commonwealth University Health Systems, Richmond, Virginia, hooded by his parents, Doctors Walter and Patricia Thomas. Zachariah Marion Thomas, Internal Medicine, West Virginia University School of Medicine, Morgantown, West Virginia, hooded by his cousin, Dr. Erica Smith, class of 2010. Nosheen Ahmed Udayawar, Family Medicine, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, St. Margaret, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, hooded by Dr. Norman Ferrari. Adam Paul Wheeler, Pediatrics, University of California Irvine Medical Center, Orange, California, hooded by Dr. Kathleen Bors. David McCann Williams, General Surgery, New York University School of Medicine, New York, New York, hooded by Dr. Holly Resitar, Department of Anatomy and Histology. Andrew Edward Yang, General Surgery, Mount Carmel Health System, Columbus, Ohio, hooded by Dr. Kathleen Bors. At this time, would all recipients of the Doctor of Medicine degree please rise? Would the audience please join me in congratulating these graduates? Congratulations. You may be seated. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. David Williams, class president of the Charleston campus, who brings to you the student response.
Good morning. Thanks for coming to share this special day with us. My name is David Williams, one of the School of Medicine graduates. It's my honor today to give the student response this morning. As all of my classmates, many of the School of Medicine faculty and leadership here today know, my typical response includes a bunch of whining and nonsense and sending out some strongly worded emails that very few people actually read. Believe me, they know. That being said, you can imagine the feelings of apprehension that came over me when I found that I was to deliver the response at graduation. What could I say in response to graduation? Certainly there's nothing to whine about now, it's graduation. And if not whining, then what is there to say? So, like any other sensible student of our generation, I went to Google and looked up how to give a graduation speech. There was a bunch of touchy-feely mush, and I found this recurring idea. Think of ways in which students have changed during their education. So I started thinking, how have I and how have my classmates changed since we began medical school? Of course, nothing came to mind. There have been a few notable life changes. A few of my classmates have had babies. Some bought homes, some got engaged or married. I personally somehow grew an extra chin during medical school. But none of these changes seemed terribly appropriate or remarkable for a graduation speech. So then, as I was racking my brain searching for some ornate and profound, deep change that has occurred, it kind of dawned on me. We have not really changed all that much. You know, it's interesting, our society holds this weird belief that doctors are somehow different, that during medical school there's this mythical transition from a regular human to some sort of like perfect, infallible, supernatural being, a doctor. But I am here to dispel that myth. It is all garbage. Believe it or not, folks, we are the same people that we were when we started this journey a few short years ago. I assure you that just because we wear longer white coats now and have some letters after our names, we are still your sons and daughters, your brothers, sisters, husband, wives, and friends. Though we know how to study a little bit more efficiently than we used to, we don't like it any more than we used to. Though we'll soon be waking up really early all the time, I can promise you we'll still want to sleep in. And of course, as many of you know, though we're about to begin to earn a small salary, many of us are still broke. But maybe it's not a bad thing. Maybe it's not so bad to be this impoverished young adult that likes to sleep. After all, whatever traits you, our family and friends, instilled in us have carried us pretty far. So why would we want to change all of that? Why would we want to change the traits that make us who we are? Why would we want to change what you worked so hard to teach us? Maybe we should just continue to be ourselves, even though we're doctors now. So, to my classmates, what sappy and inspirational message can I give to you guys? Nothing. Change nothing. Continue to be yourself. Clearly, each one of you has something good that's going on. I never imagined what a hard-working, accepting, and intelligent group of folks I would run into here, hidden among the mountains of West Virginia. So like I said, change nothing. Keep doing what you already do. Just do it with a longer white coat. And when the attending asks if you heard that weird noise on chest exam, be a little more confident when you have no idea what they're talking about. Continue to be yourself, because today proves you've been doing something right. And to our loved ones celebrating with us today, what can I say to you? The same thing. Nothing. Change nothing. Do not treat us differently now that we're doctors. Keep doing what you've been doing for the past 20-something years because it's working. Listen to us whine, reassure us that it will be worth it in the end, send us cookies, and visit us on the holidays. And if we have kids during residency, please come babysit. I would be remiss not to mention some very important people today. The division deans, Drs. Ferrari and Cottrell in Morgantown, Drs. Griffith and Bors in Charleston, and Drs. Canarella and Brown in Martinsburg. Thank you for keeping us in line over the past 4 years. The folks in student services at all 3 campuses, thank you for patiently answering our incessant emails and questions and for keeping us organized. And of course, our families and friends, thank you for your years and years of support. In fact, before I get special thanks to all the mothers out there for sharing their special day with us. And for those of you who are not mothers out there, and you might have missed what was said about 5 times already, let me clarify. It is Mother's Day. There is a gift shop in the lobby and a florist down the street, and it is not too late. This morning, the class would especially like to acknowledge and thank Mrs. Brenda Michael for her many years of dedication to students of the School of Medicine. Our class is the last to have had the privilege and luck to have passed through all of medical school under her watchful eye. She's set to retire this year. Mrs. Michael works hard behind the scenes of student services to make our lives run smoothly. To name a few, she schedules about 1 million clinical clerkships a year. She organizes and helps facilitate the 4th-year clinical performance exam and is the go-to lady for the Gold Humanism and AOA Honor Societies. Mrs. Michael, thank you for what you've done for this class. If you would please stand and be recognized. So finally, to end this student response, I'll leave you with a quote from this guy named Theodore S. Geisel. Some of you might know him better as Theodore Seuss Geisel, but you all probably know him as Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss said, "Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind." Thank you for your attention, and congratulations to the West Virginia University School of Medicine, class of 2014.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Well done. Well done. I just want to take one quick second to recognize that once again, we had absolutely perfect elocution in all of those names. Nothing is more important to someone than their name, and nothing hurts more than to hear it mispronounced. And Dr. Cottrell spends hours and hours and hours being sure that he says them just right. It is not easy to do. Take it from someone who bungles names all the time. So please give Dr. Cottrell a round of applause. Okay, here we go. Dr. Judy Charlton Weisstein for Clinical Affairs and Chief Medical Officer for WVU Healthcare, and the class of 1985 will now administer the oath of Hippocrates. Dr. Charlton.
Will the School of Medicine class of 2014 please rise? At this time, I invite the physicians in the audience and on stage who wish to affirm their oath to also stand and recite with their new colleagues the oath of Hippocrates. Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear by whatever I hold most sacred that I will be loyal to the profession of medicine and just and generous to its members, that I will lead my life and practice my art in uprightness and honor, that into whatsoever home I shall enter, it shall be for the good of the sick and the well, to the utmost of my power. And that I will hold myself aloof from wrong and corruption, and from the tempting of others to vice, that I will exercise my art solely for the cure of my patients and the prevention of disease, and will give no drug and perform no operation for a criminal purpose, and far less suggest such a thing. that whatsoever I shall see or hear of the lives of men, which is not fitting to be spoken, I will keep inviolably secret. These things I do promise, and in proportion as I am faithful to this oath, may happiness and good repute be forever mine. The opposite if I shall be forsworn. Please join me in congratulating the medical class of 2014. You may be seated.
Thank you, Dr. Charlton. You know, I'm not exactly sure at what point you really do become doctors. You know, I mean, you come across the stage and you get hooded, and then you have the oath. But this is I mean, after this, you're absolutely for sure doctors, I promise. And I now call upon Dr. Christopher Calenda, Chancellor for Health Sciences, to confer the degrees of both Doctor of Philosophy and the Doctor of Medicine upon our wonderful candidates. Chancellor Calenda.
It's now that you become official. So will all of the candidates from the School of Medicine please rise? Candidates, your fields are one of great dignity that commands the respect of your fellow citizens. Physicians and scientists have demonstrated great progress in service and research into the human physical and mental well-being. WVU has always acknowledged health as a basic value of our society. As you enter into your profession of great responsibility, I trust that you will hold foremost in your thoughts and plans the patients that you serve and the people of West Virginia, the United States, and the world who require your skills in research, clinical medicine, and outreach and services. As West Virginia University's graduates, always aspire to put your education to work exploring our world's greatest problems, continue to cultivate your global awareness, and aim to create a more peaceful and just world. Constantly refine your abilities to uncover facts, analyze problems and data, and communicate clearly. Dream big and never stop learning. Share your pride in West Virginia University wherever you go, and act as ambassadors for WVU and the life-changing power of education. So by virtue of the authority invested in me by the West Virginia University Board of Governors, I hereupon confer upon you the degrees for which you have been recommended with all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations.
You can sit down. Something else just happened. You're no longer alumni in training. You're now bona fide alums. So isn't it appropriate that this moment that you become alumni, that Rosie Canarella Lorenzetti, who is a graduate of the class of '79 and president of the School of Medicine Alumni Association, brings you greetings from this great group of which you are now all members. Dr. Lorenzetti.
Hi, doctors. It's my honor to represent the WVU Alumni Association, all its members and staff, and the more than 3,900 graduates of the WVU School of Medicine that have gone before you. I bring you greetings as well as congratulations for your achievement, culminating in your graduation today. Thank you for becoming alumni today. Those of us that work for and with the Alumni Association are very proud of our organization. When I graduated in medical school in 1979, I had no idea what the Alumni Association did for me as a medical student and how important it was to join after graduation. The alumni sponsors many of the events that have complemented your education here. From that first day of medical school where you learn to tie flies, fishing lures, providing scholarships, presenting you with your first stethoscope and then your first white coat, feeding you at all the football tailgates, and finally sponsoring your graduation luncheon. They are always here to support you. Now, since you could become and you are one of our members, we ask you to enter your residencies as representatives of the medical school with pride. We want the world to know how bright, responsible, and compassionate that you are. As our emissaries, you will show doctors all over the United States what a well-trained doctor looks like. We know that you will be kind to your coworkers and be kind to those medical students working under you. We hope that you will keep a global perspective and give back to people both at home and abroad. During your residency, you can contribute to the alumni organization, first of all, by keeping in touch. Please update your contact information once you get to wherever you're going. If you're local, please attend our events and come by. And if you're far away, we have another charge for you. You can agree to serve as a mentor for those students who are coming behind you. We are starting a new undertaking where interested alumni can offer advice to current students to help them in the interview and career selection process, residency, and practice selection locations. Hopefully, this can be done by telephone or email, because of course not all of your classmates, friends, and the alumni are on social media websites. We have updated our website, and we hope that you will check on it frequently so that you can be knowledgeable about our activities. Therefore, WVU graduates everywhere charge you, the class of 2014, to be our ambassadors to the world, to wear your flying West Virginia and your blue and gold proudly wherever you are. I can tell you a couple of years ago, I was in Antigua, Guatemala with a couple of the WVU seniors on one of those international rotations, and there comes a local gentleman with a big WVU on his chest. I knew that WVU folks had been there, helping them out and leaving t-shirts. When people ask you the secret of your success, tell them it's because you are a WVU mountaineer. And what are mountaineers? They think quickly, they're sure-footed, and they can go for a long time without a break. You're someone that can get it done. So interesting, David Williams and I must be reading the same literature, because my ending words are from Dr. Seuss. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. So now steer yourself in any direction you choose. Congratulations. Go Mountaineers!
So if the definition of a mountaineer, or one of them, is going a long while without a break, everybody in this room is a mountaineer. And the class has heard this before, but I'll try it again in the words of Henry VIII, once overheard telling one of his wives, "I won't keep you much longer." We're almost done. But we do want to rise together and join in the singing of the words of our alma mater, written in 1938 by WVU graduate student Louis Corson. It's a beautiful alma mater. Now, during the singing of the alma mater, it's customary for gentlemen to remove their caps. So please rise, remove your caps, and let's enjoy our alma mater.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads. I hear her voice in the morning now she calls me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads, take me home. Country roads, take me home. Country roads.
You may be seated. We thought you'd enjoy that. We love goosebumps. So we're just about done, but we're going to get off script. So those of you who are following along, if you've been following the script, we're going off script. For those of you who just would like to get done, you're going to watch this part. You're going to like it. We're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to get a little unconventional. I told you I just screw up all the time. We're going to get a little unconventional and have some fun. This is an extraordinary class. Many people here know that this is a class that just knocked the pants off of the USMLE exam at every opportunity that they had. We're so proud of them. They're a fun class. They enjoy themselves. As you have seen evidence throughout this graduation ceremony, they don't mind being a little bit unconventional. So we'll finish this morning with something that's a little bit unconventional. To the best of my knowledge, it has not been part of one of the School of Medicine graduation ceremonies heretofore, but we do have a lot of historians that may say, no, actually it did happen, but I don't think so. So the way I want to go about doing this is I'd like to ask one of our graduating students to join me on the platform for just a minute. So Jessica Johnson, would you come up? Would you mind? There you go. So Jessica's a member of the Eastern Campus class. She's born and bred West Virginian, graduate of Shepherd University, now moving forward to a residency, as you heard, at WVU. And we think she's a great, great example of her class's success. And what I have, these are for you. And what we're going to do is we just have a little video that we want to show. So if you just turn right around here and you watch the video. So can we go ahead and roll that?
I wanna make you smile whenever you're sad. Carry you around when your arthritis is bad. All I wanna do is grow old with you. I'll get you medicine when your tummy aches. Build you a fire if the furnace breaks. Oh, it could be so nice growing old with you. I'll miss you, kiss you, give you my coat when you are cold. Need you, feed you, even let you hold the remote control. So let me do the dishes in our kitchen sink. Put you to bed when you've had too much to drink. Oh, I could be the man who grows old with you. I wanna grow with you. Put you to bed when you've had too much to drink. Oh, I could be the man who grows old with you.
So, it is a great day to be a Mountaineer. Congratulations, you guys. We're done. I mean, I had 3 more pages of stuff, but no way. No way. We're finished. We are so grateful that all of you have come today. We're going to begin our recessional, and we're going to ask that all of our guests remain in their seats until the stage party and the faculty and the students have exited the hall here. Your graduates will be waiting for you to meet them upstairs in the waterfront ballroom for a reception to which you're all invited in their honor. I truly want to thank all of you for joining us this morning. I want to thank all the moms and dads and spouses and significant others and children one last time. None of these graduates would be here today were it not for you. None of them. And there's a terrific story behind each and every one of them, and you are a part of that story. To all the moms, once again, happy Mother's Day. We love you. We appreciate all that you do. And all that remains is to party on. Thank you all for being here today.